Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got Kill Team Nightmare. This is a pretty big box. I feel like with every unboxing that I've done, the boxes are getting a bit thicker. Look at this guy. I had to zoom all the way out. Krieger for scale. Anyway, let's get it open. Alright, in this box, it pits Night Lords versus Drukhari. Night Lords having the Nemesis Claws team, and the Drukhari having the Mandrakes, which we all know the Mandrakes were in dire need of an update. So here they are, finally in plastic. So we've got 3 small frame sprues here. It's interesting because it appears that all of the Mandrakes are on small frame sprues. And it looks like we've got 6 frames of Mandrakes. There being 2 each of 3 unique frames here. And then the Night Lords one is also somewhat interesting because it's actually using the majority of the Chaos Space Marine sprues. It just comes with an upgrade frame right there. We'll be looking at those in closer detail in just a few minutes here. Yeah, but if you have Legionaries, this set of sprues probably looks pretty familiar to you. And here is the unique one. It's got helmets, shoulder pads, and the Kill Team specific weapon loadouts on this one. The terrain piece in this one is also pretty interesting because the last few Warcry and Kill Team boxes that they came out with, they split the terrain, whereas they used to be like roughly $200 boxes that came with a bunch of terrain and 2 teams. Now, it's just the 2 teams with a small amount of terrain, and then they sell the terrain bundle separately. I'm a big fan of because if you bought all 4 of the season bundles from Into the Dark, you have a ton of Into the Dark terrain now. With how they're doing it now, you only have to buy it once, and then if you do want all of the teams that come out, you just have to buy the smaller bundles. And then we got a box within a box there that we'll look in just a minute, but lastly in this box, we've got transfer sheets. And it looks like not just Night Lords, but all of the Chaos Legions, or at least the more popular ones. No, and it seems that I've lost a shoulder pad here. Little Night Lord symbol on it. I'm just going to put that back in there. Alright, the box within a box. They've been doing this quite a bit in their bundle boxes lately too, where they keep all of the rules material separately. I'm not sure if it's for protection reasons or just organization, but I think it's kind of nice. I called this out with the last box that they come with these nice little cards now, kind of like the datasheet cards in 40k or War Scroll cards in Age of Sigmar. Just handy little references to save you from having to flip through a book all the time. But I'm glad that they're continuing that. Let's just get the band back around this. And with these sets of cards in here, whereas those have all your operative loadouts and stats, these are like your strategic ploys and abilities and all of that, once again in a handy little reference deck. Each one's marked so you know which team it's for. Once again, not super mandatory, but it's just nice to have. And then here's the ones for the Night Lords. Pretty much same deal. Has the Night Lords logo on the back. And it's got all your abilities and strategic ploys. And then like the last box, we have unique tokens for each faction. I know specifically with these 2 factions, they have abilities that kind of don't pop off until later. So having these as kind of like reminders is pretty great. For instance, the Night Lords, one of the guys, the Fearmonger, I believe, has a weapon that casts something on them that their next activation, they take D3 mortal wounds. So having one of these on there would remind you of that. And then we got your standard rulebook here. Nothing special. Pretty detailed. But yeah, we've all seen these. And then we have the rulebook here. This rulebook is specific to the 2 teams in this box, and it also has some Beta Decima terrain rules in it, as well as I believe at least a mission or something with the terrain piece that came with this. It's just a nice addition to add some value to the box. I know we're all not a fan of how GW does their rules, but the price of this box, you're basically getting 2 kill teams, a piece of terrain, and then you could pretty much consider the rules and stuff free. Of terrain, we've got this big single piece of terrain here. It is 1 not sprue and 1 sprue. It looks like it goes together relatively simply, but it's some sort of Sector Mechanicus generator looking thing. Really cool. It has a little pathway on it. I'm excited to see how they play this into the missions, since the rest of Beta Decima terrain is just platforms at this point, and then the small scatter stuff that you get for objectives in the previous box. But yeah, you just kind of piece it together there. Looks pretty straightforward, considering the last box just had some like pipe ends and antennas and whatnot. I'd say this is pretty cool. And it's got some extra little Mechanicus gubbins to put on there. Stairway to get up onto it. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Looks good. And then next we're going to go over the kill teams. So we got the Nemesis Claws. Their archetypes are Infiltration, Recon, and Seek and Destroy. Their team-wide ability is in Midnight Clad, which messes with some obscuring rules. As long as they're under the right stipulations, they're just a bit harder to hit and deal with until they're up in your face. So your leader is the Night Lord Visionary. He has the standard leader pistol and melee combo options, as well as some abilities. This is the Fearmonger. He has the weapons I talked about that deal the mortal wounds later. And then your standard Gunner has the Melta, the Plasma, and the Flamer options. The Heavy Gunner, which has the standard Launcher or Heavy Bolter option. And then the Screecher, which dual wields Lightning Claws. Looks pretty cool. The Skin Thief, which likes to flay his enemies. Then you have the Ventriloquar, who has the pretty well-known, iconic Dead Space Marine on his banner. And then your standard Night Lord Warrior. I might be wrong, but I don't think these guys are going to see much play, so I personally am going to use the extra bodies in the kit to use the loadouts that I didn't equip my gunners with, as I think all of those will be much more valuable. But all of these guys move 3 circle, or 6 inches. As I've been playing Votann recently, that seems really quick to me. They have 3 action points each, 1 group activation, 3 defense dice, 3 up save, and have 12 wounds, aside from the leader who has an extra wound at 13 wounds. Overall decent movement and action economy. Then we're going to take a look at the sprues here. Again, 3 of these sprues are just the Chaos Space Marine Legionary kill team. It builds 10, and this is an elite kill team, so you're going to be rolling with 6. So, like I said earlier, I'm going to use the extra bodies just to use multiple loadouts and be able to swap them out as I choose throughout the games. But yeah, we've all seen this sprue before. If you haven't, here's a quick look at it still. So you're going to be using most of the weapons on here. This is going to be your Flamer and Plasma and Melta for your Gunner, as well as the Launcher and the Heavy Bolter. Those will be the same as the Legionary kit. The Night Lord specific sprue here, that's going to have your Night Lord specific weapons on it, like the Lightning Claws you'll see here, that blade for the Fearmonger, a cool sword with a ribcage around it, your chain glaive down there, bunch of shoulder pads and helmet options. So when you build with all of these, you'll have all of the regular Chaos Space Marine ones, and Extra bits is always good for future projects or to trade out with friends. Extra bits are always good. And here's the banner with half of a Space Marine stuck to it. Pretty gross, very Night Lords fashion. Now on to the Mandrakes. Their archetypes are also Infiltration, Recon, and Seek and Destroy. Their abilities, though, are Shadow Passage, which is some teleporty shenanigans, Umbral Entities, which is some much needed invuln saves for your guys, as they all have a 6-up save naturally, and Soul Strike, which plays along with some of the keywords on some of their ranged attacks. Your leader is the Night Fiend. They're equipped with a Huskblade, Bale Blast, and they have an ability that can deny an enemy operative their turn, basically. You have the Abyssal, who has a Glimmersteel Blade, Bale Surge, and the ability to buff friendly shooting. Then you have the Chooser of the Flesh, who has a Bale Blade and Bale Blast, and an ability to gain tokens from kills and then use those tokens to heal. The Dirgemaw has Bale Blast, Horrifying Scream, and a Glimmersteel Blade, as well as an ability to essentially interrupt an enemy operative's activation with their own. Then you have the Shadeweaver, who has Bale Blast, a Glimmersteel Blade, and the ability to drop portals that basically improve the teleporty shenanigans that this team offers. And then you have your basic Mandrake Warrior. Unlike with the Night Lords, you will be running some of these guys, because you build 10 in the box, but it's a 9-operative team. You can only run one of each of the special guys, so you're going to have a couple left over that are going to be filled with Mandrake Warriors. And this team, they all move 3 circle as well, again 6 inches. They have 2 action points, 1 group activation, 3 defense dice, and a 6-up save, which is pretty rough, but they do have those invulns from their abilities, so that will definitely help. But overall, with all the teleporting, movement is key, and they have a lot of it. Anyway, let's take a look at the sprues. Again, 6 small sprue frames. You get 2 each of 3 unique sprues, and with these guys, it seems like you'd have a hard time identifying what one is what. The operatives don't really stand out as much, but once you kind of read the data sheets, the weapons kind of stick out a little more. Like to the left there you have the Balefire Blade, and then all of these other hooked blades and saw blade looking things are just Glimmersteel, and then the spell down there at the bottom, that's a bigger flame than the rest of them, so that's going to be your Bale Surge versus the other Bale Blasts that the other operatives have. And then down in the bottom you've got your Shadeweaver spell there. But overall, it is best practice to just be transparent with your opponent, let them know who is who, what does what, just to kind of avoid any feels bad moments that might happen in a game. But both teams are pretty cool. They both have some really awesome abilities in my opinion. I'm not super competitive, so I can't tell you which is the best way to run what, but I will say that right now at least, they are both very strong. But rules change, so don't let that sway your opinion on whether you want them or not. I always go with the rule of cool, but it can also feel pretty fun to be really strong. This box, unfortunately, for whatever reason, had super limited availability. So chances are they are going to be pretty hard to find. But if it's anything like the last release, the individual teams will come out a lot sooner than they used to, especially if you aren't particularly interested in the whole box. But if you are, go check out your friendly local game store, see if they might still have one on the shelves, and that's much more preferable than buying it from scalpers off of eBay. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys made it this far, I super appreciate it, as well as any likes, comments, and subscribe these videos receive. Each one really helps us keep doing what we like doing best, and that's talking about miniatures. But until next time, bye!